Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we should take roll call, Joni.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Dunn.
Okay, Dunn,
Here.
Bergstrom, Bush,
Here.
Heisner,
Here.
Harris, Johnston,
Here.
Skelding.
Here.
As I was saying, we do have Dr. Dunn joining us remotely for the meeting tonight. All right, we'll move to action items.
So the first action item is approving a revised budget. We approved a budget at our last regular meeting in October. And we knew full well that the state would release our most up-to-date information the very next day. So in your board packet, you have the most up-to-date district budget. It is also the budget that we used to get the numbers to certify the levy. So all of this is up to date. It has our increased revenue from open enrollment in, a reduction in our open enrolled out number that we had in our budget comparison. We also had a reduction in our voucher expenditures. So therefore that kind of helped offset some expenditures. It didn't necessarily create revenue, but it reduced our expenditures. So basically what you see before you with all up-to-date information, we got a little bit less in our levy or our state aid, sorry. But because of some of those other expenditures being reduced and a little bit of an increase in revenue with open enrollment, our deficit went from $494,000 down to $404,000 at this point in time. So these are the numbers that we would like to put in as our actual budget into Skyward and reporting purposes. So I would ask that you approve these updated numbers.
I'll entertain a motion.
A second. Or I'll make a motion to approve the budget as presented tonight.
I'll second.
Sorry, I got carried away.
I can give you some specifics. We had looked at whether or not this was a budget amendment, and in actuality, it's just a revision. So we had a reduction in our general fund property tax payment of $49,000. We picked up additional open enrollment revenue of $26,000, just under $27,000. And we had a reduction in our general equalization aid of $18,000. So we had couple of reductions and an increase in our revenue. But what helped offset that was our open enrollment out was decreased by $62,000. And we had a decrease in our Wisconsin Parent Choice and Racine County Parent Choice program. Those two combined were to the tune of $130,000. So we reduced our expenditures by $130,000 there. So that gave us basically a budget surplus of $89,620 all total. So that's what was able to reduce that deficit down to $404,911.
Mitch, can you explain why the voucher total went down?
Part of it is because we recaptured, I think, some students that were taking advantage of the voucher program. They came back to us, so we kind of got a double plus. They were no longer open enrolled out, and they were no longer part of that voucher program that we were taxing our taxpayers for. So that was probably the biggest.
We as a school district or public education in the state of Wisconsin?
Specifically to the Mineral Point School District, yes. Last year, we had to basically tax the Mineral Point School District taxpayers $122,000 for the students that qualify for the Racine County and the Wisconsin Parent Choice programs, those voucher schools. So this year, that number was reduced by the $67,000. So that was, while not additional revenue there, it was a $67,000 reduction in expenditures. And expenditures to, a tax to our taxpayers, basically.
So instead of taking the voucher program, they are coming back as Mineral Point School students.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we recapture some of that funding as a full-time Mineral Point student as well.
Just like for the record, the projected deficit back in September was over 700,000, right?
Correct. We've been working at that. We felt we had it down to at least just under 600 when we really started to work at areas to cut cost savings. Got it down under 500,000 2 weeks ago, and now it's at 404,000. So we've been making changes that have been moving this in the right direction.
Any other comments or questions?
Okay. Johnston,
Yes.
Skelding,
Yes.
Eisner,
Yes.
Bush,
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Then the next item is to certify the levy. So if you get to the first page, well, or it would actually be the second page in the packet. The first page gives you a comparison of the mill rates. Starting in 2015-16, our mill rate was $12.46 on a $3,944,000 levy. And we've gone up to this year, a $5,151,000 levy and a mill rate of $8.28. So the second page gives a kind of a comparison. It's the signature page for the paper. Our levy went from $4,723,257 to $5,151,278, or a 9.06% increase. When we talk to Baird, they've told us, basically that's due to inflation, and probably some reassessed valuations within the school district properties. The next page shows the tax years from 2006-07 all the way down to the 24-25 school year. We've had some years where the levy has gone up, some years where the levy has gone down. The last 2 years, the levy has increased in each of the years, and the mill rate basically has stayed level from last year to this year. You do have a copy of our revenue limit worksheet. So one of the biggest things that is difficult to explain is kind of the student enrollment numbers. So if you look at the middle of the left-hand column, you'll see that last year, our student enrollment was 718 students. And that's a 3-year rolling average. So we go back to 2021, where between the student count, the students that are our students in district plus our summer school, we had 723 students that year. And then the next 2 years, our enrollment was 715. Well, you move forward to this year and the 723 drops off. So we knew the only way that we were going to at least maintain that student count was if this year's student population added up to be 723. We came in at 718. So we see an increase in 3 students, but based on the 3-year rolling average, we're down at 716 students. If you look at the very first line, line 10B, below that 716, that is our declining enrollment exemption. So because our enrollment went down 2 students, we get 2 times our state aid, which is $13,313.10. They round off, they take off the pennies. So we picked up an additional $26,626 for declining enrollment.
Are you penalized if it goes the other way?
If it goes up, you don't get the declining enrollment, but we would have gotten additional state aid based on
Okay.
a positive number of students.
Did we just have a particularly large graduating class that you're in 2021?
Yes.
Okay.
The number I don't have in the top of my head, but
That's fine. It's just, that seems like a little bit, that 723 seems like a bit of an outlier, or
Right.
715 base enrollment.
yeah. That was your September head count. Our September head count is basically 705 this year, but we pick up, 708 this year, but we picked up 10 students due to our summer school numbers. So again, we kind of maintain that level. You come over to in the right-hand column, if you go down to line 10H, that is the Wisconsin Parent Choice and Racine County Parent Choice. This year, that number is 58,667. That's what we tax for, and it gets sent off to those programs. We don't get to keep any of that money. Last year, that number was 122,000. So having less voucher students impact our district means we pass, that's cost savings. We don't tax for that money. So that was a direct savings to the taxpayer.
Mitch, I have a question about that.
Yep.
So, I'm just trying to understand the determinants for those two numbers from the Parent Choice program and the Racine County program. So the Parent Choice program goes up or down based on, or at least the charge to the school district, our school district, goes up or down based on how many Mineral Point school district residents attend private school.
And qualify for a voucher. Yes.
Okay, and qualify, is that an income-based qualification?
No.
Okay,
No, there's just an application for, you just apply for a voucher and, it's not based on family income. I think there are plenty of families that are well above any kind of poverty level that would qualify for a voucher.
okay. And then the Racine County program, the amount we're charged for that, does that depend on students using it in Racine County, or is that based on something in the state budget?
I think it's based on the state budget.
So it's
So-
more of a fixed number?
Yes, so it's not necessarily any of our students that are attending, any Mineral Point students that are attending a Racine-based, school district. It's kind of that everything goes into this one pot and is divvied out of it. So it's right on the form. It says the Wisconsin Parent Choice Program and Racine County Parent Choice Program.
Right.
So it's thrown into basically one pot of money, and then wherever the vouchers are, the money is dispersed that way to those school districts.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So if you look at line 12A, it's got the October 15th certification of general aid. That's the number. That number came down slightly based on, we get a number put in there in July 1st. And they always tell you, this is just an estimate. We estimated a much lower number, being a little bit more conservative on the anticipation that number would change. And this number came in just slightly lower than what our estimate was. And our estimate was about $18,000 more. So we were pretty close on our conservative estimate. So that had an impact again on the taxes. So if you see all the way down the bottom in the right-hand column, total fall 2024 reported all fund tax levy is $5,151,278. That brings the mill rate in at 82756 or $2,058 per thousand.
Does the 15A, the referendum approved debt, does that include both the standard payment that we would have on the elementary school remodel and the additional defeasance we discussed?
It does.
Okay, and then the 91 is the, that's Fund 80.
Yeah.
That's because our buildings serve a broader use for our community.
Correct.
Have we, like that 90, is that 91,000 consistent year over year?
In recent years, it was, I want to say maybe 75,000 several years ago. Andy, do you remember a dollar amount?
It was 80, I think.
80?
80,000,
Okay.
yeah.
So, and I can look back to see when it changed, but it was probably within the last 5 years, it's gone from 80 to 91. And that's done, that has to have board approval. That can't be me or Danielle picking a number out of the air. The school board has to set that number.
For me, it's good to connect that because we've talked about Fund 80 and we've talked about how it's used, for example, to support the police liaison program and some other things.
Correct.
So seeing how that shows up in here, it just helps connect it all.
Yeah, it was called the FAST program, but it's a program that connects parents in the school district together. We pay for it. It's the trainings, the people that work in that program and support it after school. So part of that helps fund that program as well. So it's a good connection for the community, their parents, and the school district too. It also gets funded out of that program.
Net debt defeasance by keeping the mill rate flat allows us to pay back the elementary school loan a year sooner.
Correct. Which would then save the district's money on the district taxpayers' money on interest and things like that.
I'm also noticing that if you go to the tax levy summary chart towards the top of your packet, I think the first page there, where it has the assessed equalized value of property in the district. And Mitch, correct me if I'm misinterpreting this, but from 2015 to 2016, our tax levy from the school district went basically 3.9 million to 5.1 million over that period of time. That's about a 25% increase. And if you look at our property values in the district, they've basically doubled in that same span.
Correct. And that's the assessed equalized value is what the state basically says the properties within the district are. The school district has no control over the assessed equalized value. But you're right. They have gone up basically almost doubled.
I guess my point is that, when you think of inflation, property values have inflated 100% over that time span. And the school district's burden to the taxpayers has only gone up 25% in hard money, which reinforces your point of how we're towards the bottom in Senator Markline's district in terms of increase in total costs.
Correct.
Which I think speaks well to the administration, doing what they can to keep costs down.
We try. We try.
So with that, I'll make the motion to certify the levy.
You have a second?
Second.
Any other questions? Call the question?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
Call the question, please, sir.
Dunn,
Yes.
Skelding,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Eisner,
Yes.
Bush.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, was that a hand up with a question or was that like a bye?
That was I'm in favor of adjourning the meeting.
Okay, very good.
Okay, thank you, everyone, and have a
Thanks,
good night.
guys. Thanks,
Thank you.
Joni.